Hello, welcome to Animal Audit Corner. Now, we have our stories from our former Scientologists and advocates who bring you their stories. So let's just get started right now. We all know Scientology is known for coming off as being good community leaders that donate their money to nonprofits. Now, well, they could. And we all know that they have community barbecues for every single person in the neighborhood. Their critics are familiar with the way they have all their holiday events for every child in Los Angeles, especially during Halloween and Christmas with Santa. We all know how they enjoy all their $1 billion to their police and fire departments. But we know how Scientology is recognized for being a cult that has all that as a front group for their illegal activities. Scientology has nothing better to do all day but to get into illegal activities, especially with their reign of hate towards their former members, critics. Yeah, it's sad. Scientology operates out of hate in their organization against their critics or members who leave. It could be any critic, really. But their members would also turn into their best critics when they protest against them. Those claims that have been supported by ex-Scientologists, the cult denies every statement all their former members made. Well, guess what? I won't. They've been lying for years. This so-called church would call their critics that was once their members bigots. And why? Because they left and they're airing their dirty laundry right in public where it belongs. Scientology have expressed their hate against them, then would clash with their former members. And they have done that in the past. They did it to Tori Magoo with one of the female security guards that they had hired. They harass a young child. And they call in, and they actually have their former members, well, really, their critics swatted. And that would be the protesters. Then there is Article 2 of the United States Constitution that gave all free speech. And theirs as well. Scientology's hate speech in the Constitution is allowed, even though we might not like it, but it is written in there. And yes, sad enough, it should be protected. But guess what? We as the third party also have our rights to actually have our own free speech. And the protesters have their own rights to their free speech. But guess what? They never let them have their constitutional rights. They're only worried about theirs. But the Constitution would apply to everyone, not just one party or group. The third party gets their rights as well, and that means us. This would give the protesters the right to assemble without interference. It would guarantee one's right in public. But guess what? We also have to make room on the sidewalk for people to walk by. And if a police officer comes in and says to leave room on the sidewalk, we should respectfully do so. Of course, I went to a protest and I did just that. I gave room for the pedestrians to walk by, even though there wasn't really anyone walking by the day I went. It wasn't for Scientology. It was for a restaurant that served foie grass goose, which is when a goose is force-fed through a pipe that's shoved down their throats and then force-feed. Then later they take their liver, take it out, cook it, and then serve it. Now, it's illegal in some of the states, but here is one of the states that still serve them. Is it really right? Well, no. As an animal rights activist, I don't think it is right. Scientology speech is most likely to be violent, while their opponents, which is the protesters, are not. They are constantly violent towards them. They did it last year with Confident Chris. They had him beat up by a street person that happens to be homeless. OSA hired a street person to beat him up, and they paid him too. That's what they're using the tax-exempt status, tax-exempt money for. And he had to be rushed to the hospital. He needed staples in his head and stitches. They don't have any shame. They purely do this out of hate. That's what people who have hateful practices do. And then he had bumps and bruises. And his phone couldn't be tracked down. Michael Serge's husband went out to look for it. He couldn't find it. And then they did it to him again at some other event. The Sea Org actually called in a big guy to beat him up. Of course, I wish I had the footage pulled up to show you, but I didn't think of it earlier. But from now on, I should just keep notes on all of this and pull it up ahead of time. But it happened. They are a bunch of spiteful, hateful people. They even get caught doing it on the internet when the protester filmed them. They get caught every time. And then they make accusations that the protesters are harassing them. And they make up some other kind of story to make them look pitiful. And then they report it to the police. Now, come on. Even before 70s and early 80s, there was no internet. So Scientology was most likely to get away with it without getting caught. But nowadays, it's just a different story. Based on L. Ron Hubbard's writings, the LGBTQ, he stated in his writings that the LGBTQ community are perverts and mentally unstable and not normal. You know what? It's normal to have human feelings for another person. It may not work for some people. It doesn't work for me, but guess what? If they choose to love another person like that, then you know what? I say, do what's comfortable. And don't go by what other people say. Just do what feels right to you. And if it's having feelings, strong feelings for a person in the same sex, well, then go ahead. Nobody should dictate your life. And no, not every LGBTQ person are perverts. Not all of them are. That's just like saying a male's a pervert towards another woman. No, it's not like that all the time. Now, L. Ron Hubbard never stopped to think about anyone's, period. Scientology also thinks their lifestyle is unacceptable in their eyes. Well, guess what? They are unacceptable. The way they act, the way they treat other people, that is unacceptable. It's just unbelievable how they act towards other people. Then have claimed to support that community when in fact they don't. They don't support any of the LGBTQ views. They don't accept them, period. But they come off saying that they do. That's just a persona that they put on. That's just an act that they put on for the media. It's not true. They are a bunch of hateful people who treat people who are different like crap. And that includes the LGBTQ community. The organization would violate the LGBTQ's rights and won't even care. Then had critics, all the former members, they had all the critics and the former members in public, and Scientology claims they take away their line of beliefs. The former members are in public, and they claim that the former members would take away their belief system. No, they don't do that. And they don't attempt to try to do that. I don't even do that. Hey, if they want to believe that the sky is falling, fine, believe it. But you have no right hurting people. Scientology had also targeted the African American community with L. Ron Hubbard's lack of diversity. He doesn't have any of it. And Scientology has the gall to pretend that they do. Now, they do have, they do have members of the African American community in there, but very little. Very little. They don't have too many African Americans in there. And Tom Cruise's son, Connor, happens to be one of them. And he actually submits he submits his son to that, which is cruel. But you know what? I don't think Connor sees it that way either. It is unbelievable. Their reckless comments that he had made about them, well, L. Ron Hubbard made reckless comments about them as a community. He would open a center primarily in the neighborhood, in the African American neighborhoods. The Church of Scientology had opened a center primarily in the Harlem area. They would host events there. And that is just a front. Now, L. Ron Hubbard did in the past, and guess what? Scientology is capable of doing it today. And guess what, Scientology? Do the world a big favor and just stop pretending that you care when you really don't. That organization did do that during Black History Month when the African Americans observed that day. That was in the past, but lately, I haven't really seen them do that, and I don't think anyone else did either. Hubbard had made several comments about African Americans by using racial slurs on more than one occasion. Now, if you go on the internet, on YouTube, and type in L. Ron Hubbard in Africa, he never actually went to Africa. That's one of his other little lies. Yeah, he calls them pygmies, although I don't understand what that word is. Actually, when he mentioned it, I heard it for the first time. Now, I think that was last year. This year, I still don't get a clue what that word is. It is unbelievable. The hateful comments that Scientology would use is unnecessary, hateful, and it is so horrible. They're the bunch of hateful freaks that anyone could know. Now, please, Scientology, get an attitude adjustment. And all your illegal activities is eventually going to come to an end. We all know Scientology is known for coming off as being nice to a community, leaders that they donate money to. They would donate it to non-profit organizations. But do they actually mean it? No, because they only do it for their own benefit. They're only donating money to make themselves look good. Now, Tom Cruise donates 1% of every 1 million that he pulls in. And that is towards their slave labor. Now, did he used to be a nice guy? It seems that way. Because according to Aaron Smith and he was this doughy little guy that came in and his career took off after Top Gun. But now, according to Aaron, his career is over. Well, if I was in his shoe, I'd take my $600 million and walk off into the sunset. And don't look back because you're never going to get it back. Scientology's hate speech in the Constitution is allowed, even though we might not like it, but it is written in there. Everybody has a right to their own free speech. Even if it's hateful. Is it right? No, it isn't. But morally, yes, it's wrong. But in the Constitution, they have a right to their own free speech. I mean, we don't always have to like it, but you know what? Whatever's in the Constitution goes. Should there be religion reform? Yes. Once you stop breaking the law, you should, regardless of religion, you should be suffering consequences. This is any religion. That organization would violate the LGBTQ's rights and won't even care. They had also targeted the African American community with the L. Ron Hubbard's lack of diversities. And this is what Tom Cruise submitted his son to. This man is just shameless. In conclusion, Scientology will continue to be a hate group. That's the way they have always been. Once a hate group, always the hate group. They are the same as the Nazis, the KKK, only they don't really blurt it out like they do. They don't just come out and call people racial slurs. They don't. But in the past, L. Ron Hubbard did, and on more than one occasion. I even looked it up. Now, I will be back on Friday with my art therapy and my arts and crafts. Arts and crafts is the most relaxing. Painting is the most relaxing thing anyone can do. It just relaxes you. And if you go to a therapist and mention it, they will. And if you like, you can request it with the mental health professional that you're seeing. Now, if you're in the Cleveland, Ohio area, they have it at Signature Health. If you are going to Signature Health for your mental health care and your primary care, mostly mental health care, and you request it, they'll give it to you. And it's down at the link below. Friday, Art Day. Then, in the weekend, I'll be in my kitchen. But the thing is, I really had to cut back on the stories that I'm telling because the stress just wore me down. Coming up with stories 7 days a week. Well, 5 of the 7 days that I stream is really stressful on me. Now, I got bipolar. I'm not that much equipped to actually handle stress. And of course, I'm giving her the benefit that Fluffer Squirrel will eventually put me on the directory. We will see. Now I'm going to give her the benefit. I will replace everything and see what I can do on my half. Now, I gotta have to do my end. I have to actually do my share of the compromise. So I'm going to keep trying myself. I can't just play victim. So I have to do my share. She has to do hers. Now I'm going to give her the benefit. And hopefully I'll have one of my projects done. Hopefully. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and I just want to do it. I just don't want to say it. I want to do it. So, you know the drill. If you want to contribute to my channel, go to the PayPal. You can give me any amount you want. You can even just hand $1 over, and I'm not gonna complain. Even though dollar bills are not worth much. $1, it's not worth as much as it was back in the 90s or the early 2000s or the 80s or the 70s. It was worth something. Now it's not as worth a lot. It's like the equivalent of 50 cents, 75 cents and down, 85 cents and down. So it's up to you. But guess what? If you can't afford it, you don't have to contribute at all. It's going to go towards my internet connections, just so I can get on program with you. And I'm not going to even call you cheap. So, you want to contribute? Go to PayPal. And when am I going to come up with my merch store? As soon as I get people in the chat. So, I actually am an affiliate to this one store, and I got a blue shirt in there. But guess what? I made $39 worth, but I'm not taking it. It wouldn't feel right because I don't have any shirts to give. So I'm going to wait. And then I'll order my shirts. Or unless I made a mistake with my affiliates. So right now, I am going to wait off and see how, because I got very limited funds. Let's face it. So as soon as people put in the orders to the merch store or affiliate to my store, then I'll start ordering the shirts. Hopefully before Christmas. So keep your fingers crossed. Hit the like button. Press subscribe. And I will see you on Friday with Art Therapy. Bye.